Hi, Ella. You know what? Your cat looks very similar with the cat we had when I was little. So my mom got a kitty when I was born because in our culture it said so the child will grow like live strong like a stronger survival more ready for surviving if you have baby cat with the child. Yeah, because my mom lost a baby, before me, right? So yeah, my sister didn't survive. So, they got the little cat to grow with me. So I grew up strongly.
So good luck,
It's
cat.
really,
That's really sweet.
oh yeah. Yeah. Cat has this cat has 9 lives.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. Shelley.
Welcome,
Hi.
Shelley. Hello.
I work with Shelley and I never get to see Shelley. So
know.
it's like, yay!
And we have a meeting at 1 too.
I know. Can't wait.
So does anybody have spring break next week, or are you guys all past that? You
We
had
were
it
last
right?
week.
It was last week for us. Yeah.
Same for us last week. We just started spring session yesterday.
Oh,
We started on Monday in spring session.
and then is this Good Friday holiday or anything, or business as usual at the schools?
Business as usual.
Yeah.
Those days are gone.
Mhm.
Unless your kids go to a private Christian school, then it's off.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Yep, those days are gone, indeed. My mom, my parents are fully vaccinated and I'm fully vaccinated. My husband got his first shot. So when the weather is nice, we eat together outside. And
Wonderful.
my mom was like, do you guys want to get together on Easter Sunday or Easter Monday? I'm like, no, Mom, no Easter Monday. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, there is no Easter Monday anymore.
We're working.
I was robbed.
Doesn't exist.
I think it used to exist when they would that would be school district spring break.
That was my normal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I grew
Like
up
they
with
would
that.
have off like Holy Week, part of Holy Week, Monday,
Mhm.
Thursday, Good Friday, Easter Monday, spring break. You're done.
Mhm.
Back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
So
have
anyway.
a diverse society now.
Mhm. So we started yesterday so that we can take the Thursday and Friday of Menafee off.
Oh,
So that way our Thursday and Friday classes get all their 8 sessions. So
good.
are you guys gonna do Menafee? Virtual?
We're going to figure that out at our meeting at 1 o'clock. So
Exactly.
Well, we will be there on Friday at 11:30. So if you go to Menafee, if you don't go to Menafee, you can still join us at 11:30 and still have perfect connections.
okay.
And if you do go to Menafee, you can choose the 11:30 Friday spot and join us at Perfect Connections. So in other words, how can you lose?
Win-win. So it's going to be at 11:30 that day instead of 12?
Yeah, just because that's when that session for Menafee begins.
Sure.
So, yeah. And
Got it.
I realize I haven't updated the Facebook group page, Friends of Family Education.
Yeah, I wasn't sure we had it today because it wasn't on there, but I figured
I know.
I'd see. Anyway.
Wait till next week to update because people are only really thinking 1 week ahead.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you'll have people showing up at 11:30 next Friday.
Oh, you're probably
Well, I'll
right.
put it in, I think what I'll do is, because I put in the events by the week,
Oh,
right?
that's right.
By week, by week. And then, so then for that day, the 14th or whatever day that is, I'll just change that time and then the last ones for the month. Yeah. Good. Yeah. I just wrote so the International Society for Learning Sciences, the ISLS, they requested any kind of COVID related, like either horror stories, but really they wanted like good stories, and only 300 words. So of course I sent one in on Perfect Connections.
Hey.
So, yeah, I think I ended it with, that as the educators were very grateful to be able to return to not using technology so heavily in their teaching, that they expressed gratitude for having a community that, because we could use technology.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah.
I just an interesting thing to share. So, I've been doing my newborn class in person and via Zoom since September. We had to take a slight break when everything went to distance learning in November. But what I do is I have the moms register each week so that I know how many are coming, because my room can take 12 moms. And this week, for the first time ever, I had to turn 2 moms away because I had 14 moms interested in coming and I could only do 12. And my building administrator found out about that. And she said, what can we do? Do we have a second class? And my classroom, our building is an open concept building, it was built in 72. So there's no doors, no walls. It's really odd. But so in my classroom, I have these walls on wheels. And so I got approval to move those walls out. And now I can have up to 21 moms in the space.
Wow. Oh, because it's a big enough space then if you move the walls.
Yep. It's
Oh, that's
basically
awesome.
a double classroom. So I can fit 12 moms on one side and 12 moms on the other. And so, because right now, if all the moms who have at least attended in person once or are interested in attending, if they were to all attend, I would have 18 on Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a baby boom going on right now. So
Everybody's been home for a year, Ellen.
they've been busy. They've been
What
bored.
else can you do? I mean, really?
I mean, it's really boring, clearly. So are you guys seeing that too? I don't know if you have a lot of newborn, if you see the newborn traffic, but I don't know if it's just Northfield or if it's trending that babies they are coming fast.
Well, I was talking to one of our parent educators who does the most of the babies. And on Mondays, she has an in-person one, and then it was supposed to be a virtual one, but nobody signed up, so they made it in person. And as of Monday, nobody had signed up for that second one either. So I'm not sure, because I don't know, Karen, you might have more information, but that's what Lisa just told me a couple days ago.
Well, I don't know if there's something you can do. And then an interesting comment that I heard from my building coordinator. She has a neighbor who has a baby who was born. She just turned a year in February, end of February. And this mom said to my administrator, she said, I've only had a baby in a pandemic. I don't know what it's like.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what it's like to be a normal mom in a normal world. And I was like, God, that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard this week too.
Me too. Yeah.
She said, I've only parented in a pandemic. And gosh, it just really makes me really want to reach out to those mamas who have no connection or are afraid to reach out and get connection. So yeah. Oh, Becca, that's okay. I was just saying we have a massive baby boom in my community. So I don't know if it's a trend, but just something to keep your eyes on the horizon for fall, making sure that maybe you've got some, checking in with your, any information you get from the hospital to make sure that you've got some solid infant programming come fall.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to hear. I had actually heard stats that were the opposite, that they were kind of expecting baby booms and that too much together time was not attracting people to one another. So there was less.
I'm with you all day. I don't want to be with you at night too.
Don't touch me.
Hands off.
That's what I had heard, but I'm glad that's not the case in your community, and that's a good thing to have your finger on the pulse of, to prepare.
And this happened, so it was October of 2017 to February 2018. I had 23 moms and babies.
Wow.
And then as a result, for a while I had giant baby classes, giant toddler classes, and now they're all going to preschool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been interesting, but you guys have broke my heart. So I was like, here are 2 new mommies who need support, and I can't, and they didn't want to come on Zoom, and that's fine. I get it. I don't want to do Zoom either. But so I'm very happy that I don't have to cut anybody out this week.
That's great.
One of my moms from one of my classes last year was pregnant last year and had her baby in January of 2020. So just before all the COVID stuff, but she just joined my walkers and talkers with her little guy. And she said, and this is her third, and she's like, it's been totally different. He's terrified of strangers, and he's only been with family for his entire life, other than maybe the first month, which he was probably only with family then anyway, right? So him learning how to adjust to being at school has been hard.
That's
And
what
I
I'm
think that's
seeing.
true for a lot.
I have parents who have said basically the same thing, that this is a brand new socialization for a kid who would normally have these skills at this time in their life.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for us as educators? I mean, what do we need to do to support that, or
Well, and
I
I've
mean,
been
other
telling
than we teach the skills, but still, is there anything else we need to have our heads up on?
I've just kind of been, it's interesting. I've had some parents who are like, oh, I don't know, my child's not going to separate from me, whether it's sib care or the classroom, like, oh, we haven't been anywhere and I'm really scared and I'm really nervous and it's not going to go well. And those kids are like,
Bye.
yeah, peace
Peace out.
out. So it's been really interesting. I think some of what we're seeing is parent anxiety, like they are just expecting it to not go well. And so kind of what I've been saying is, it's really interesting. I said, I know a lot of parents are feeling like their kids are just going to be these Neanderthals and be like, me once and you go, like just cavemen. But I've said kids are a lot of kids, I said, it's come to ECFE for the first time and it has nothing to do with a pandemic. And they're just like, oh, there's a lot of people in this space. And so I'm basically trying to let them know that you don't need a pandemic for a kid to be slow to warm. And it might just be their temperament. And it might be like their temperament forever. And it might be situational temperament where they're just kind of getting over it. My daughter is a freshman and she's been doing hybrid school, since the beginning of the year, 2 days a week. And so she went, it was full school now on Wednesday. And she was like, Mom, my chest felt heavy all day. I had to take deep breaths. She said, I just felt like I was on the verge of having a panic attack. And she says she's never had a panic attack, but 15, she knows what's going on in her body. And she was like, it was really hard for me to be in a crowd of that many people. And she's done it before. She knows what she's doing. But, for a 15-year-old to struggle with that, boy, and she's, she's been in crowds for, so it really helped me kind of be like, yeah, you know what, it's okay. It's, they will adjust. And, and then I always tell the story about a toddler who attached herself to dad's leg and was with him for 7 weeks of our programming. And then on week 8, she was running around the room. It just sometimes takes them a really long time to feel comfortable. So anyway, that was a really long answer to help parents feel better, because I think a lot of them feel guilty that they didn't socialize their children enough. And I'm just really let it go, mama and papa, just let it go.
Well, and I think too, you're right. I think it's that slowing down of what we want to accomplish and making sure that there's space for that exploration, space for the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And maybe, not trying to bombard with tons of content. Content is critical to what we do, but we have to look at the whole picture and making sure there's space for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Karen, that's kind of what I've been trying to navigate in my toddlers class, because we were in person in the fall, and then we were virtual over the winter, and then we've been back in person since February, so it was like a few months off, and then back in person. And that's enough, kiddo. Sorry. It's like, you're on a camera, let me be on a camera too. And what happened is these little 1 turning 2-year-olds, and it's partly, I think, Ellen, also what somewhat you said, like their natural temperaments. This is a class that's particularly kind of quiet and a little slow to warm up and very huggy. I'm gonna stay near grandma or mom or dad. But normally this class start is non-separating for first semester and second semester separate, and we haven't separated yet. So it's like, we're just kind of trying to navigate that. Part of me feels like I don't want to try separating until these kids are a little bit more ready. But part of me also feels like, holy cow, I just planned out the rest of my semester and there's only 7 weeks left. So when do we, when, like, because I really do kind of want them to at least have that experience a little bit of, because I feel like it's such an important piece of ECFE, of learning that mom and dad always come back, that it's okay to be with the teacher, and like that's learning for school. And if they do ECFE next fall, they're not going to have any non-separating time. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of trying to figure out now, is meeting needs.
Well, Becca, could you do, what I've done in the past is, like, we've done like the last 10 minutes, we're having separating, and then the last 15 minutes. And so we work our way up bit by bit. And it also helps, do you have a space to take the kids outside? Does your early childhood teacher, can she take them outside?
Well, that's the other thing. I'm the only teacher in the class. So we don't have an early childhood teacher for it. I have 2 paras who are super competent and great. And our parent ed room is right across the hall. So it's like very, very close. They have not been super into the outdoor space either, though. That's where we start our class.
Sometimes that can help, but
pick the gym. So I could imagine like them going to the gym maybe, but
to break up the, you know, it's just a change of scenery. Sometimes they forget
that mom or dad isn't with them. Yeah.
The other thing too would be giving the kids a tour of the parent ed room.
Yes. I've done that actually for all my classes, including the older ones. The kids get really curious. Where is mom disappearing to?
And I let them choose a seat. They choose a seat for their parent, so they know exactly where they'll be sitting. And so I think that really helps with those classes too. So maybe a comment for that.
We make a big point of there's no toys in here. See how boring this room is.
Yes.
This isn't the room you want to be in. But then my question is, like, I'm still kind of a new teacher, a very new teacher. And like, how do you deal with content then? Like, if we're trying to have any kind of parent ed time, how do you like separate for 5 minutes or separate for 10 minutes? Like,
that is your content.
Yeah.
That's the content.
That is your content.
So I can scrap all my plans. Okay.
Or you can create like a handout and say, you know, or point out, you know, if you're doing development, you can point it out while you're in the classroom with the kids. Oh, look at Johnny's doing this, and this is helping them learn to take turns or socialize or use his fingers or whatever. We have, like with our 2s this week, I didn't separate with any of our 2s. We stayed together, and we'll start separating this next week. But last year we had a class that was really difficult, and we had parents bring us down to the gym and do drop off there. Because it was a great distraction. It was, you know, a big fun gym and all that. And, you know, so that might be something, if you have 2 paras and not a licensed teacher in there, might be something to consider as well. Unless it's really far away and you're not comfortable being that far away either. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do, like we do everything else, a little bit of playing by ear. And content wise, it's already, I mean, the whole year has been non-separating. So I take content with a grain of salt. They've got toddlers climbing all over them, right? So, and I haven't been able to use video in there successfully like I often do with some of my other classes. So I've tried to supplement with, I send them emails every week, and it's like, okay, in case you missed any of what we talked about, here's the link, here's the talking points, you know, let me know if you have questions. So I can continue to do that.
The other thing too, Becca, that I found with some of the gradual separating classes is sometimes the parents make it worse.
Oh yeah.
And
but that's
so,
part of why I want to do it, because I feel like it's like an important learning for them. They need to learn how to like say goodbye, love ya, I'm coming back soon, and go.
What you could do, that could be your content too. So what you do is when you leave for 10 minutes, then be like, okay, parents, how did that go? Did that go well? Did that not go well? How do you think it could go better next time? Because you might have the parent who's like, oh, are you gonna miss me? Oh, I had that one side of parent who was like, are you gonna miss me? I was like, no, don't say that.
Be confident. Tell her you love her. You'll be back.
Have a great time. Bye and go. But yeah, I agree that you can take that last 10 minutes and just be like, okay, how'd that go?
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, looking at what are the cues you're looking for in the kids and in the parents to tell you that they're ready to do this. And then what do you need to do to build up them to that place so that you can separate? So it's what are the specific cues, and connect them to that, help them connect to themselves.
Yeah, we did. I mean, just a week and a half ago, the paras and I all noticed, and we tried to point it out to the kids, I mean, to the parents, that the kids, for the very first time in the entire year, none of them were on anyone in the parenting time circle. And
That's
we
a
were like,
cue.
"Are you seeing this? They're playing." Like,
That's a cue.
Awesome.
and it's only happened the once a week and a half ago, because one of the kids was back feeling pretty cuddly, and the child I mentioned wasn't there that week, who was super is really young and hasn't been away from mom at all, wasn't there. But still, other kids who had always been right with grandma or dad and hadn't left at all they were still quiet, they were still cautious, but they were playing with the paras and weren't in our circle. So we're trying to draw attention to that and encourage them that this is good. Like, you don't have to feel bad if your if your child comes to the parenting area where we're sitting and talking, that's fine too. But it's good to encourage them to go play. This is your playtime. So, but I like the idea of having the actual content be separating, especially for the first time or two. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Luck.
You know, as you guys are talking, what I'm wondering about, because I know you're in different situations, either online or you've moved back to the classroom or whatever. How is your own energy? You know, because definitely holding space online, right, through Zoom, but you're housebound or whatever, and then I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I had I had like a day of people, of being with people, like face to face, I mean mask to mask, but like in social settings, and at the end of the day I was like spent, you know, and I was thinking, oh my God, like, remember, this is what life used to be like, right? And so I just was wondering how you found your own personal energy with the transition to going from online to being back in a classroom.
I find online exhausting. So when I have to be meetings with Zoom, like that tends to wear me out. I found with this whole year has just been exhausting. So I'm taking any tiredness I feel almost with a grain of salt. Sometimes in the back of my head, the hypochondriac in me worries that maybe you have a medical condition and it's getting masked by the fact that you're blowing off being tired all the time because it's a pandemic, you know. But all joking aside, when I'm with my parents in my group, and this is probably partly because of being kind of an extrovert, but I feel super energetic when I'm with them. So like the in-person time is just, I love it. And then I kind of collapse at home. Like at home, I'm really tired.
Me too. Exactly. Word for word. Even today, I mean, I only did what I do 3 to 5 classes in the last couple of days. My voice is tired. And you know, just today, my last class of the week, and I was like, oh, I'm done. You know?
Yes.
And I only had 5. Now next week I'll have 10. So, you know, it's just, but I'm the same. I just get, it's fine when I'm there, but.
Yeah, I had 10 this weekend. I'm definitely happy it's Friday.
I always feel bad for my Friday class, because I'm like, I'm sorry, you guys, I have nothing left for you, but I'll make it look good.
I go back to September, and when you start to school in September, I know that the first 2 to 3 weeks are just so exhausting.
Yeah.
It's just exhausting. It's like, I can't do anything. I can't take anything on. It's all work and rest and work and rest. So I feel like it's a little bit of that again.
Yeah. Well, I have kind of a question kind of off of that. I mean, not it tied to that at all. And it should be pretty brief, but This is a situation I've never had before. I've been doing this newborn class now for, almost 5 years. I have a mom who is very rough with her newborn. I wish I had a doll so I could kind of show you like what she's doing. I don't have any dolls, no dolls in this house, but she's just she's a little too bouncy. She put him in her car. I didn't notice it first. My public health nurse noticed it first, but she said she put him in the car seat. You know how some moms will like swing the car seat when their babies are crying? She was like shaking. She was like doing this up and down, up and down.
Shaky baby.
Yeah. And I did not see this, but then I started watching her and she really smacks him hard and she's kind of bouncing him up. And this past week he was fussing and his head was here and she was trying to keep the nook in his mouth. And I think he's 4 weeks and his head was like going backwards off. So his chin was at the ceiling and his head was back. So 2 weeks ago, I had a substitute public health nurse, and she's a postpartum doula, and she's wonderful, and she was actually the first one to notice it. My second public health nurse was second, but she said, "Oh, do you always jiggle him around like that?" So she has already asked this mom, and the mom was like, "Oh yeah, he likes it." But I don't know what do I do? Because this mom she's a little, I think, I don't want to make assumptions, but I feel like she has some just lower skills, kind of a lower skilled mom. She looks like she has some condition where she's losing her hair. She has so I don't know if there's some developmental stuff going on, but what do I do? What do you do? Do I just come right out and say, "Mama, you're holding that baby too rough. That is too hard on his neck. That is too hard on his head."
How do you know that he likes it? What tells you that he likes it? Queuing into those pieces.
Yeah.
Well, he's quieter, he settles down. Does he settle down when you're more gentle?
Yeah.
Let's talk about if you were to do it in a more gentle way. How would he respond to that? And how would that affect him in the long run if you were more gentle? Something like that.
And it's really hard to have a quiet one-on-one conversation because this is the class with 14 babies. So
then you talk about being gentle with all the babies.
But I don't think she would get
She
would get it.
I had a mom like that a couple years ago. She had a 2-year-old in a twos class and then a brand new baby. And she was definitely a little bit off, like kind of what you're saying, Ellen. And like the baby was like 2 weeks old and she had him in a front pack. And he was just like, his neck was over and his legs were out. And I was just like, we had just had to be super direct with her because there's no like beating around the bush type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like stuff that you might say to somebody, they'll get it if you say it, but.
Oh no, I'm holding him wrong. Oh,
Right.
Show me how to hold him.
Right. Like,
Yeah, this mom I think would be like, oh, he likes that. I mean, we've already tried that avenue and it didn't go well. So, okay, I guess I just wanted to hear like that you've maybe dealt with that and I just need to no beating around the bush.
yeah. I mean, we can be direct in a kind way, right?
Right.
And I like the fact that what Karen said, like, well, how do you know he likes it? Or,
Right.
kind of explaining the anatomy of such a new baby, like, oh, they're, this is their muscle development at this stage, or,
Right.
they can't really handle all that jiggling because of,
Yeah.
And the wiring that's going on because this child is getting all that jiggling all the time, that will affect his wiring or her
Right.
wiring. So
Yeah. The little boy. Okay.
That's a tough one though.
tough situation.
Ellen, I'm thinking, do you think it's possible, like, because, so you mentioned like you could hold the baby at this time, right? So you are vaccinated and sometimes you hold the baby, right? So
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
do you think it's possible you can hold the baby, you can hold the baby and do something and role modeling for the mom and tell her, why this is better,
Right.
why that is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, show that affection.
Yeah.
And, the tenderness. Is that possible?
No, it absolutely is possible because this next week is my topic is fussy babies. So how do you deal with the colicky? You guys, oh my gosh, duh. That's what's next. So we talk about soothing and oh my God, I didn't even see, I'm so messed up. My curriculum is so messed up.
No, you're not messed up. You're just living the life, that's all.
In the COVID parent educator life. But yeah, no, that's a really good idea. And maybe just what are some of your baby's favorite positions? Then I'm afraid she'll be like, he likes it when I do this. And I don't want to shame her.
Right.
Because there's always that delicate balance in a newborn class where, you'll have a mom come in and be all like, I read Baby Wise over the weekend and now we're on a schedule. And I have to very carefully say, without saying, Baby Wise is a program, stop using it and feed your baby on demand. Okay. But I don't want to shame that parent. Right. So anyway, yeah, so I have to be very careful how yeah.
Ellen, you got this. You're good.
Yeah, well, thanks. Sarah, have you ever had a mom practically shake a baby in a class? Very, very rough with baby. Oh, rats. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's good. It's a good thing, but yeah. Okay, I'll do it.
I'm very concerned for the baby. I mean, we know how dangerous when the baby's head is shaken. I mean, that is, and if she does it every day, think about it. Even in each time is a little bit, but I don't think that, I'm very concerned for the baby. I feel, Ellen, I believe you will find some
thank you
to do that.
Well, and it, a couple of years ago, like when I was doing this class, and maybe after 2 years, I would see moms strapping babies incorrectly into their car seats all the time. And I did not have the guts to say anything. And now I'm just like, oh, hey, car seats are really confusing. Can I show you some tricks and tips? And they're like, oh, sure. So I just
part of the reason people are there is because they want your information, right? Like you're their educator. So you have to hope she's there to get some type of information from you.
Yeah, that's true. But I always worry about the one parent who thinks they've got it all under control and then they're corrected and then they feel.
Then they won't come back.
Right. So, all right.
How's the rest of the class? I mean, is anybody else noticing, responding, reinforcing? Is there, can you use the class in any way? I mean, I know that you're talking about
it's hard. It's hard because the class is so fast. But Yuji was there. Yuji was observing virtually on Monday, and she can tell you it is boom, 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 boom. It's a fast-paced class, and there's really not a ton of dialogue happening between the moms because it's just discussion based, and it's they have a question. I have a breastfeeding question, diaper rash question, thrush. It's just constant questions. So there really isn't. There's some discussion, but not a ton. And soothing would have to come up for it to be, but that's sweet. Hopefully I can get to it, but if I have 18 moms, I might not get to a topic. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Susan, like Ellen's class is exactly like what you described in your email. Remember you sent the email, like the text of the Philadelphia? Do you remember that you sent out the email shared how do you like the Zoom and in-person class? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The one that's on doing a hybrid class. Yeah.
And you said some like Ellen and some other they are doing that there. So I mean, when I observed Ellen, it's exactly like what you described. It was so cool, like a big show there.
It was a big show. It feels like a production.
It's hard. I mean, I think it really takes a lot of skills to handle that class, both in person and online. Oh my gosh. I mean, as a sophisticated, skilled parent educator, you guys can do it. I don't think I can handle that right now.
Not yet.
I didn't think I could do it either. 6 months ago, I was like, yeah, that's funny. Right. Ha ha. And now I'm like, well, necessity is the mother of invention. All right. Thanks, guys.
And welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Happy spring break, everybody. It looks like a lot of people are on it or heading hopefully on one.
All done.
We're done
They're
Done.
done. Yeah,
last
I'm
week.
going on spring break. Yeah.
No, I'm trying to juggle. It's my kids' spring break and very much not mine.
That's tough.
I have a question for you. How are your families and your staff managing some of the feelings from the Chauvin trial? From the Derek Chauvin trial. Is that on the radar?
Hasn't come up.
Not really for us.
Not-
I have a very white, very, very white program. I do have a mom whose husband was a Minneapolis cop and he has PTSD from the riots after, and he has retired.
Mm.
So I'm really nervous. I'm really nervous to do our kind of, diversity, anti-racism discussion that's coming up in a couple weeks in that class. Cause her son has a Police Lives Matter hat that he wears. And I know that you can have that Police Lives Matters flag and still, feel that Black Lives Matter too.
Right.
But still, so it's not affecting, no one's talking about it with us.
I'm going to challenge. I think it might be affecting, but nobody's talking about it.
That's
So
fine.
I'm wondering if that's part of it too. But anyway, yeah.
Well, Karen, can offer that I'm enrolling a class right now that's supposed to start on the 11th, so a week from Sunday, 4-week series. And I have 8 or 9 people in the class, and I'm disappointed by that. Because when I offered the class for the first time in July, it filled to 20 like immediately. And that tells me that this is Edina. So my goal is to provide on-ramps for people who maybe are paralyzed and aren't sure how to start conversations and or feel called to engage in the work and maybe haven't yet and aren't sure where to start. And so I've been disappointed, and I'm trying not to make up stories in my head about what that means because I still have a week. I'll run the class no matter what. But UG, it's a talking with children about race and skin color. It's a 4-week class that I've taught a few times now.
Can I audit the class?
Please. Oh my gosh, I would love to have you, Ellen. I would love to have a wingman in there. Please, come on, let's go.
Oh, no. I just want to observe. I don't want to teach it.
No. I know, but like someone to just know, it's not comfortable work. It's not comfortable work. So it's having someone in there to say, to affirm or support or add what I'm forgetting, that sort of stuff would be amazing. I think it's going to run. I think but I think that it feels very far away. It feels very far away to me, if I'm being honest, in my day-to-day, the Chauvin trial.
So
Yeah.
Sarah, I have a few questions for you about this class. So is this a parenting class? For what age of the children?
Really any age.
Any age? Yeah, so you said last time it was filled very quick with 20 people, and now it's down, right? So I think, do you think the summer is coming, right? People are going outdoor. That might be, a reason. And you feel disappointed, but I know there are many ECFE classes, they have only 5-4 parents, no family.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's okay. I
Yeah.
can, I'm not a mess about it. I'm not worried about this or the fact that the number is low or whatever. It's fine. I just think that when it's in people's top 5 lists, they do it right now. And if it's not, they don't. And just shows me that it's not top of mind for a lot of people, to me.
That's
So-
hard.
Are you offering other topics?
Oh,
Other
yeah.
classes?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is it on your website?
Yeah.
Could you share your website?
Yes, I can.
Thank
I'll do
you.
that. I'll
Thank
just grab
you.
it.
Sarah, is this class enrolling remarkably different than other classes offered at the same time? Like, I mean, in the
Ooh.
same season, like right now.
Good question. It's the only class I got to think about that. Let me just look through here. So, I have a suspicion. So if you click through that link, I've got these classes exclusively for Highlands Elementary parents too. And I haven't talked to anybody at Highlands about how that's going because it's Edina spring break this week. But I have a suspicion that those won't run either because it's spring and people can finally get outside and they have Zoom fatigue and for all of the reasons. And to be honest, like if they run, great. If they don't, I'm very indifferent about that. Yeah, so I do think it might be seasonal.
I
Might be
really
seasonal.
think there's a huge difference between running a class in July when it's not part of the regular school year, when there's not like so many draws on time and attention and energy.
Yeah.
Spring can be hard when you throw in fatigue and new stuff and having to finish out the school year. And people might just not be
Yes.
ready to sign up for anything right now.
Well, yeah, and I think I attribute the brisk enrollment last summer to because it was just hot on the heels of George Floyd's
Oh.
murder,
Right.
and people were like, "Holy moly, this is not okay." You know, we gotta get working on this, get serious about this, and so, yeah. But it's okay. You guys don't have to take care of me about like my feelings about the enrollment and whether it's running. I just think it's a little bit of there's a little meaning we can draw from that with respect to Karen's question about like, are people willfully entering into conversations about race and skin color right now?
Well, I was just gonna, I mean, my general perception is that people are not talking about they may be following the details of what's happening day to day, but it's almost like people are holding their breath, waiting for the outcome.
That's right.
Because I avoided a car accident on 94 yesterday, and I took the streets through Minneapolis, and it is like a ghost town. I mean, you drive down Hennepin Avenue, and every one of the theaters, the majors, you know, they're all boarded up and newly boarded up, right? Because I think that they are preparing for the outcome that may not be positive. And so
They're actually preparing for either outcome.
right. Yeah.
Right.
My husband works for the city of Minneapolis and working with emergency services, and they're like emergency command control center and stuff. And he was supposed to this Monday start working nights in preparation. He's been able to put that off. It hasn't been as much of a thing right now as they're anticipating it will become.
No, I totally agree, Becca. Even when I was saying that, it was just like, depending on the outcome, but then I was thinking, we're such a divided society now.
There will be uproar no matter what the answer is. Yeah.
Right. And so, so I know a slice of people that are following the day-to-day events. And if anything, I sort of look to see that it's also national news and international news to see this happening. And then I see this sort of quiet preparation. And so, Sarah, getting to your point about why last year did it, you know, and sort of that teachable moment and people, so that's when people's attention, you know, I mean, I still had the book about, you know, like race, class, and privilege and all the book lists that came out late last summer after George Floyd's murder that got everybody reading Robin, what's her name's book, right? And that. So my guess is the people will, and I'm not taking care of your feelings on the attendance. This is just an academic discussion, but my guess is, as you observed last year, is
Mhm.
that you get through the spring and students graduate or completing school, but whatever that outcome is going to be, then people are going to go like, how do I talk to my kid about this? Whatever it is.
Yeah. I think that's probably true. And it makes me wonder if I should postpone the class, but I don't think I will. Maybe I'll just run it again. I was thinking I might take the summer off. Really, like, which is my privilege. And you know, but because I think I'm going to be able, I got the J&J shot yesterday. So I'm super feeling like I have a new lease on life, and like, it might be nice to take a couple weeks and not be like being on Zoom. But I think, I wonder if you're right, Susan, you almost always are, in my lived experience. And so I think maybe I might have to run it again. Can I ask a question, Karen, about this? I know about Embrace Race, Ellen, that's a great one. And they do webinars all the time, like free stuff. They're great. The Raising Race Conscious, or the Racial Healing Handbook. So Karen, would you categorize that as a parenting book? Does it have ideas about talking to kids? Because
It does to a point, not as deeply as we would want it to be, but it does to a point. You can tell I've been playing.
Yeah, look at that.
But there's some great questions. So as a facilitator, there's questions that I have used, or that, like I said, parallel what I have talked about in class. And then it gives me ideas of how I can approach that in our class. So it's, because it's a workbook, it's a handbook, it's kind of like a workbook. Gives you a piece, and then it gives you some worksheets. So
cool.
Yeah.
Great resource. So yeah, I'm wondering if I would include it on a bibliography for parents.
I would, because they're adults and they'll figure that out.
Once you break the seal of like general books about race from race books that are explicitly about parenting on the topic of race, like the bibliography even grows to like thousands of books. So I'm trying to decide if it, but you're telling me it does.
I think so, because it gives you, I mean, I just think of the families that I've worked with and how they are trying to figure things out. And families who are multiracial, families who are white, families who are, all across the board, Asian, the whole thing. And, it's that, who am I? And then how do I go? Where do I go from here? Who am I? What do I need to know? It talks about grief.
Cool.
And and I think that's an important piece that we don't talk about. Well, we know, who talks about grief, right? But we need to, and getting into that consciousness, raising our own race consciousness. So looking at it in relationships, being a racial ally, blah, blah, blah. And it has a healing perspective, which is really nice. It's not just, here's the information, deal with it. It's like, okay, how do we heal? And I think about what's going on. I think about the day that verdict comes out, regardless of which direction that verdict goes, it is going to be, I want to say it's going to be like a 9/11. And I think as a parent ed, I need to be prepared for that. I don't know how people are going to feel in my classes. I don't know where they're going to stand. I don't know if they're, where it's going to be, who knows? But, I know when 9/11 hit, there were no resources. There was nothing. And we were told, well, you know what? Just keep teaching your class. Well, that's not necessarily the healthiest thing to do. So it's been years since then. We've learned, and I'm trying to figure out how to take that forward. I know we're going to get some resources in our district, and I haven't looked at them yet, so I don't know what they are. But I think that's an important piece to be aware of. When
are we expecting a verdict? I guess the trial takes 4 weeks, they're saying, right?
She's checking the dirt.
She's asking the expert.
Yep. Get the dirt, Becca.
Yeah. Get it. Get that dirt.
Yep.
They're expecting the trial to go a whole month and then deliberation. Not sure. Is according to the expert, sorry.
That could take a while.
Yeah.
Because in Minnesota, it has to be unanimous, right?
Getting more dirt.
Okay.
That
But
anti-racist
it could be a hung jury. So,
Right.
And then it starts over.
yeah.
which is really not the words we want to use, right? Anyway, but that's what we use, right? The anti-racist podcast is good. I've been listening to that, and it's because that's a Minneapolis people. That's
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, is it? Okay, I haven't, it's on my list. I got
Oh,
it ready to
Ellen,
go. I just haven't
it's-
listened to it yet.
It's so Minnesotan like. These
is.
women are brilliant and so earnest and dedicated, and they're each one is like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But they both have Minnesotan accents.
Oh,
And-
fantastic.
and
I feel like I'm
Most,
talking
if
to
not
friends.
all of the guests are Minnesotan, so it is so homegrown. It's so great.
I love it. It's awesome.
Karen,
they're
I
really-
was wondering about, I was triggered by 9/11 because I was in DC, like, 5 minutes from the Pentagon, when it hit, and my daughter was what, 8, I think, at the time. So of course that was, it was ridiculous. And, but anyway, but what triggered me was this idea of, well, we weren't prepared. We didn't know what was happening that day. And then as resources, and in DC, it was also the problem with no evacuation routes, right? And it was more than, it was a lot of stuff. Anyway, but it was that then getting resources and then working to share those resources, because at that point I was with Cooperative Extension. So there was tons of stuff about, talking to your children and things like that. But what's different this time is that we're ready. I mean, not ready, but we can anticipate 9/11. We know 9/11 is going to hit. Like, we know it. We just know it, right? And we lived through Trump. We lived through the last 4 years and the escalation of public division in our country, and the discourse that became from behind closed doors and anger and frustration about the other side to being very public. And so we know that too, right? And so what I'm wondering is, can you take it to the parents and ask them, we know that, like, what do you feel like you're going to need? I mean, you all know, right? Because you're in, but kind of bring the parents in too.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Absolutely.
I don't usually poll parents about one topic. Like I did for PLC once. Like we did like a 3-week thing on discipline. So we did a pre-test about discipline and a post-test on discipline after 3 weeks so we could get data. And I think that I've never before been like, how do you feel about this topic? But that really makes sense for this particularly, to really find out get the pulse of the parents and what are they feeling. And then if you get like the dissenting, like, I think this is BS, I don't want to talk about it, then what a great idea. I don't know why I never thought about that. But yeah, like a one-time poll to see where everyone is.
So, I think that like, how would you word the question? Like, what do you need?
What do you feel you need?
Or
Do you have?
do you feel, what questions do you have? Do you feel ready for the Chauvin verdict? Like, are you ready to talk to your kids?
And what does it mean to be ready? After that, you go, what does it mean to be ready? Yep.
Hold on, I gotta write this down.
Yeah, I got it too.
This is good. This makes sense for elementary kids, but I'm just thinking about my ECFE families. They're not talking to their kids to their children about the fact that a police officer killed a Black man. They're just not.
Right. But I'll tell you that a lot of after 9/11, a lot of it was the adults, right? I mean, the Washington Post, and I don't want to keep going back to that reference, but I'm just thinking, yes, you're so honorable to be thinking about what do parents need to be able to talk to their children and what, and that kind of thing. I'm just also thinking about the emotional impact the parents are going to feel. Like,
Exactly.
what are they going
That's
to
true.
need as a result of this? It could be a continuation of the political landscape, right, where there is that further divide, or it could be that shock and horror of how can this continue to happen in the country? How can I personally feel safe, right? So I just think that it's so big, and I have no idea how you would ask the question. But I think that it is a multi-layered kind of thing. And my point is simply to feel out the parents so that the teaching, learning, facilitated experience is meeting what they need, like is meeting where they're at.
In terms of meeting where they're at, Karen, I know you make a practice of this, and I don't know how you do it, but where I always start with parents is what their own values are. And this idea that if we don't speak our values about this, regardless, and I don't tell people what their values should be, I just invite them to crystallize what they are if they haven't. And if we don't speak our values about this and all topics, we are ceding leadership and education of our kids to the mainstream or what they learn on the playground or whatever. And are we prepared to do that? So Ellen, in response to your guy who you're telling stories in your head about, and I don't blame you, about what his cap means, about what he's going to say on this topic, like, I am certain that he feels that his position is rooted in values that are indisputable, like uncontestable to really probably everybody in the room. So that's the common ground. Like, if you value what you think fairness is, if you value justice, so like to start the conversation there can at least start everyone on equal footing in terms of like not feeling like people are going to call them an asshole right out of the chute, or a racist, right? God forbid, right out of the chute, right? And because we're all doing the best that we can, and all parents are. So I'm still thinking about like, so I have classes next week and the following with parents of adolescents and parents of grade school kids. And the question, I'm still puzzling over how to start the conversation. I'm really glad we talked about this today. Thanks for asking the question, Karen, because I'm still noodling what to do next week, and I think I need to raise the topic.
How I'm approaching it, at least how I'm planning to this spring, is I definitely am not having a whole 4-week like a seminar or something just on this topic, but I'm teaching difficult conversations or challenging conversations. And the first week, this will be my very first time, so I'm a little nervous. I've always had Family Tree Clinic come out because I just love them, and their presentation to parents is phenomenal. I'm not doing, guest this year, so it's on me. So the first week will be parents as sexuality educators, and I feel like that's a slightly easier to start that conversation about what are your values. If you don't talk to your kids about what they are, they're going to make assumptions or learn, just like you said, on the playground or somewhere else. And so the importance of talking to your kids early and often, even though parents feel super uncomfortable talking about sex, that feels like a less explosive topic than racism. And then week 2 will be like, guess what? That was the easy stuff, because now but that's how I'm planning to kind of step into it. It's important to have hard conversations with our kids.
Thank you. I've got to go to another meeting. I wish I could stay. Thank you so much, you guys. I'll see you.
Thanks for asking, Karen. Really good question.
I love sharing resources. All right, I'll see you in a minute.
Bye,
See you in a minute. Bye, guys. Have a good
Have
weekend.
good weekend.
Bye,
So,
Shelley.
Sarah, gosh, when Susan is talking about this, all your experience and memory in 9/11 and all the now situations, and all the, post-Trump syndrome like that, right? So, and also, Sarah is just talking about how do we start the conversation. So in my mind, I feel like I would think about parent development. I feel, as a parent educator, first of all, we want to know what we are at, and how we want to lead this, right? And then I feel like, now it's just so overwhelming when we think about it. We experience so much, and I do not know how much awareness of the parents about where they are at, right now, and where they want to go, and how can we help them to during the transition time. So now we are transitioning to better situation, right? Better political and better healthier, and all this. So, but the trauma experience is there. I mean, the resilience will not, happen, it's still there if we do not make effort to heal ourselves. So I feel like parenting themselves, right? So their own development, their own growth is actually the foundation of their parenting. And right now, I mean, even though their children are young, they cannot communicate with their children about, but how about themselves? How about their own self-healing? So that is, yeah, I feel, gosh, I'm so, so excited, thank you so much.
Yeah, I agree. I something Susan said, just like, well, what do the parents need? Not just what do the parents need for their children. I think as parent educators in this field, we are so quick to only see parents kind of in a two-dimensional role, as this is who they are and this is the only way in which we serve them, is how they can be better parents. And of course, that's the main lens and focus of what we do, but it's just like, no, these are human beings and they count for who they are, like not just their role as a parent, and that's hugely important.
Just to put some closure on that, because I think then transactionally doing that, we all know this, right? But transactionally, the more they're cared for, the better they'll be for their kids. Because again, coming full circle back to 9/11, the Washington Post they ran a series that it was more like personal stories, right? And remember, this is 2001, so this is way, before we were using the internet and everything. And so, and I have used this example over and over and over, but there was a story, this woman, and there's like first person accounts, and it was a woman writing about sitting on the couch with her 4-year-old as they repeatedly watched the planes going into the buildings, right? And how she pulled her child to her as such a source of comfort to get through this traumatic time, right? And I know people who read that and they were going, oh, and I'm reading it going, are you effing crazy? Do you know what you're doing to that child? How selfish can you be, right? And I didn't even know the woman, right? But again, it's just this thing of a parent is one way or another, unconsciously, they're going to take care of themselves. Their children are sources of comfort. There's this idea that being close together through trauma is a way to get through it, but in a way that you're not really connecting to what is this experience for my child, right? And so I do think that but clearly that parent was in need. That parent was dealing with horror, as we all were, and found comfort in a certain way. So I think it's been a wonderful teaching thing for me, because I always think of that parent, but in a way that, not in a judgmental way, but in a way of how could a parenting education session have helped you in a way that would help you also protect your child from continually exposing the child to horror, and also the mirroring of your own anxiety and stress and reaction and all of that. But anyway, well, sorry, I know we're going past time, but what a wonderful conversation, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, everyone.
Sarah, Sarah, sorry, I put a chat and maybe you didn't see. I'm so interested in your classes for grade kids parent, and can I contact you, see if there's opportunity for me to to learn from you and observe your class?
Oh, sure.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
I'll,
bet.
I'll email you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks,
Okay,
everybody.
all
Have a
right.
good
Bye,
weekend.
everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you
week.
so
We'll see you
much.
next week.
Bye bye.